Hi, welcome back to another hour with Crowder. With me, your host Crowder. Like, share, subscribe, and comment. And if you're already a subscriber, go ahead and ding the bell so that you can get all of my latest podcasts every Tuesday. Hey folks, what's up, you guys? I've been busy lately. I gotta go ahead and apologize to the streaming platforms, the streaming only platforms that listen to my podcast. They don't go to YouTube. Y'all been contentless for about 3 weeks, but if y'all go over to my YouTube page or my fan page on Facebook or Instagram, then y'all can catch up on them lives that I've done. My team has been slacking on the whole uploading the lives, but we're going to get back to everything good today so that y'all can see all of that if y'all want to. I'm not going to go over this long because I just feel like at this point it's just overkill, but I have to confront it because this live that I did with Joel Patrick, it lives rent-free in my head because it was just so many things that he was either wrong about or he just said a talking point that's just a conservative talking point. Anyways, I feel like that he dodged a lot of what I wanted to talk about and go over, and he turned it into an interview instead of what we were supposed to be talking about, which was the clip. You can go back to episode, I think it's 69, and go and see what I was talking about with the clip, which if you don't go back or you're too lazy to, it was simply just stating that I think that Joel Patrick is a character. I feel like that he created this character to pander to the conservative crowd and white supremacists, suspected white supremacists at that, because it's black people that are conservatives as well that he caters to, because every time he says something on his platform, then he'll say it and then it'll be some merch below that he wants you to pay for. You know, that's basically, like I was saying, what Trump did. You know, just go to this niche audience and pretty much pander to them in every possible way that he can. His followers aren't as patriotic as they think they are, because I was banned from social media for 7 days due to someone reporting what I had said in that clip, you know, which is really funny because they all have like no problem with what anyone says about someone that's black. But as soon as a black person says something that they don't like, or we're not kissing their ass like Joel Patrick or any of those other black conservatives, then that freedom of speech stuff goes straight out the window, you know? He always tried to stray the conversation towards something that didn't contribute to the conversations. Like we was talking about reparations and black empowerment and what we can do as far as black people in the community to get further. Then it's quickly turned into like an LGBT community conversation or an abortion conversation or absent black fathers in the home, which honestly, I'm glad that he brought that up because it really put the spotlight on all LGBTQ community. People aren't monolithic. We don't all think the same. We don't all hold the same morals and values as each other. So it's going to vary if you talk to one member of the LGBT community and then you talk to another one. Or abortion. Just because I'm black don't mean that I'm just riding the Democrat wave and I think that abortion is good. No, I have my own moral reasons of why I feel like abortion shouldn't like be a thing, but I also don't believe that the government should be able to step in and tell people what to do. Absent fathers, CDC already debunked that. That's just a white conservative talking point and liberal white media telling black people that they're not in the homes and they need help from white people to be present in the homes. No, we don't. We've been in the home, whether the black man was married to the woman or not. We've always been in, I keep saying we like I'm a man. I'm not a man. They've always been in their children's lives. It's just not romanticized and it's not televised as much as other races are on TV. Anyways, yeah. But like I said, I should have caught this trick, you know, way in the beginning when he turned it from reparations straight to LGBT community stuff. I should have caught this trick. But like I said, I was in my emotions. And, I just pretty much, have realized that that's what they do. Once we be talking about some money and black empowerment, then all of a sudden it just derails into other people problems that have nothing to do with black people problems, or a very small amount of people in the black community have that problem that they want to talk about. I just think that that's very funny. And lastly, him and his audience most likely didn't even go watch the whole episode, because if they did, then they would have seen that my problem wasn't that he had the views that he had. My problem was that he was biased with his views. Just to bring up one of them, the Karen situation, pointing out Karens in the community. Okay, out of all these Karens that has been white, you never posted them. As soon as it's a black Karen, because it can be different type of Karens. It could be Mexican Karens. It could be black Karens. It could be white Karens, Arabic Karens. I don't even think that's a nationality, but you get my drift. Karens come in different races. But the fact that he didn't post black Karen, he didn't post white Karens, and it's way more white Karens than it is black Karens. He didn't post those. Oh no, he jumped straight over the jump man with the black Karen, And he did specify that he has It's Okay to Be Black merch, as well as It's Okay to Be White merch. It's a t-shirt in his merch line. But you can tell that he's catering to white conservatives, because what's at the forefront of that merch line? It's okay to be white shirts. So much so that he puts the people that wear those It's Okay to Be White shirts on the merch platform as, hey, look how many people have bought my shirts, which happens to be all white people. I'm not surprised, whatever. Yeah, they didn't watch the whole thing. They didn't watch the whole episode. They would have seen that I agree with mostly a lot of the things that, he says, but they didn't go and give me that courtesy. And since he didn't go and watch that whole episode, that leads me to believe that he and his audience is no different than what they accuse everyone else of doing to Trump, which is just going to go look at the clip and respond instead of getting the full story. He didn't even go to do that. That's why everybody was so mad, because when we was doing the live, then they clearly started to see that, she just disagrees with him on this instant. And we still didn't even get down to the bottom of it, which was, I'm not mad at you being a conservative and having your views. I'm mad that you're biased. That was the whole point. Not that you have your, views, because we all know that there's more than one way to skin a cat. There's more than one way to get black empowerment. There's more than one way to get reparations. It's just the fact that you're biased when you say everything. So, have come to the conclusion that I am truly unbiased. And that was proved last week when I did a live with both Mitch with Politics and Joel Patrick, because Joel Patrick fans thought that I was a Democrat liberal and Mitch with Politics thought that I was a conservative. And you can't put me in a box, because I'm not picking either side, because I pick black. That's why I can be unbiased about politics when I talk about them, because I'm going through the politics and I'm going through the policies and I'm looking what's best for black people. What's best for me as a black person, not this tribalistic ideology where I have to pick blue no matter who, or I have to pick red, whatever red people say, pick red or you're dead. I don't know what they say, but it's this weird thing where you get into tribalism, whether you know it or not, with a team, with a nation, hell, even with states. I'm very tribalistic when it comes to the state of Texas. I don't think any other state in the whole United States is better, bigger, more boisterous than Texas. And I love that. I'm very tribalistic when it comes to a state, but that's because I live here. But in politics, I don't think that that's a very wise thing to do. I don't think that you should be someone that just votes for someone because you've been in their party for so long. Politics is supposed to be about growth. The same politician isn't running every single year. So if you're just voting, and I'm not, picking on Democrats, because I think politics in a whole is BS. I don't follow them. I don't like the fact that one group of people govern over you. And Mitch with Politics, he'll be here a little bit later in the week or so to clear up some of the misconception that Black people have for politics or for the Democrats. But yeah, I don't like politics, but I don't think that someone should be able to pick what side of politics you're on just because you speak about politics, if that makes any sense. Like, when you speak, no one is supposed to be able to be prejudiced against you with politics. They're not supposed to know what party you pick just because you're speaking. And like I said, I wear that as a badge of honor. Like, someone from the conservative side thinking that I'm a Democrat, or a liberal, and someone from the liberal standpoint thinking that I'm a conservative. Yeah, because I think that either way you slice it, some issues that's here in America needs to be approached with a socialistic view, and some needs to be approached with a capitalism view. I don't think that it's either or. I think that it's both, and the sooner that we understand that and become more nuanced with our views about things, dealing with politics as Black people, we can get over this whole vote blue no matter who type of shit, So, yeah, I'm very proud of myself for that, because that just proved that I'm totally unbiased. And I like that about myself. I like the fact that I can speak however I want to without my fan base or my little fan base, getting mad at me, because, I'm not here to have everybody here agree with me. I don't like echo chambers. I don't like the fact that you can just, play a whole group of people even if you don't feel that way intentionally. But yeah, I'm off that. I wish that guy well, but one thing that I am going to say is, hey, all you Black bootlick people out there, the numbers are dwindling down. I ain't going to say who numbers, but it's been studies show that one race probably going to be extinct in a little while. And guess where you're going to have to come back to? You're going to have to come back over to the right side of history. So I want y'all to, think about that. Think about that little piece of information. And I want to clear up 3 misconceptions, because I got a lot of this off in his comment section when we went live. Is Black people don't deserve reparations because all the white lives that was lost in the Civil War to free slaves is y'all reparations. Just shh, be quiet. Because for one, the war was not fought from a moral standpoint. It wasn't that Abe Lincoln was like, you know what? Having Black people as slaves is wrong, my guy. Well, let's free them now. Let's start up a war right now. No, it was off of a money aspect. He said it himself, and I said that in the live. He said it himself, and I'm paraphrasing, of course, but he said if I could keep the Union and the slaves, I would do it. So let's just cut that out. It wasn't fought from a moral standpoint. It was fought from a money standpoint. And secondly, Black people fought in that war too. So either way you cut it, they deserve, a piece of reparations. We deserve reparations, either way you slice it. Secondly, people thinking that I did it for clout. First of all, anytime I'm talking about someone or something, then I tag their name. I put their name in a hashtag. And it's because it's to promote my page, not to promote them. If I wanted to, I would have just added him as a friend at him and went from there, or I would have boosted it. It's this thing called Boost on Facebook that you can pay for advertisement. You can pay to get your video into like the algorithm. I would have just done that. It asked me that every single time I post a clip. It asked me if I want to boost it. I would have done that. I would have done that if I wanted the clout, if I wanted to just get clout. But no, he posted it on his page. He did, not me. So, yeah, I think that that's pretty much it with that. I'm through talking about this. I'm through talking about all of the stuff that happened throughout that. I wish him well. I hope that, that's actually what he thinks about, whatever it is he think of. But yeah, regardless, you're going to have to come on the right side of history one day. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into this other information that I got. Trump changes his mind about the jab, man. That's pretty crazy. I didn't ever think that it was going to happen. Actually, I seen it happening, and I'm going to go step by step, phase by phase of why I knew that it was going to happen. So Trump recently is going pro-jab, and I've been wondering why the sudden change of heart. It's almost as if, he has invested interest, or he's trying to get on someone's good side, maybe the Democrats. Maybe that's who he's going to run for next year, Democrat instead of Republican. Anyways, it's weird to see, because I'll be the first to say that I was riding I was riding for Trump because of the whole jab thing, and some of his policies that I seen that could have benefited black people, but more so it was the jab thing. The fact that he was against jab mandates, and he was against mask mandates, and he was just really low key just stating that you should be able to pick and choose if you want to get the jab or not. And I thought that was great. That's why I was riding for him. But once he started backsliding on his views about the jab, that's when I backed off. I seen him go into 4 phases of this jab progression. I support jab thing, and I backed out at 2, because let's just see the phases of how he got into supporting the jab overall. So the phase 1 was he had a distaste for the jab mandate and the mask mandate. 2, it went into Operation Warp Speed. This is where I backed out, folks. He did Operation Warp Speed. He started talking about, I got my team on it. He has virologists on standby for him. I don't know. That guy's weird, whatever. Not understanding that it's the same team that Dr. Fauci was working with. You don't own a virologist team that's on standby, bro. You just don't. That's the CDC. That company had been there before you even thought about being president. It's just there. It's not your team. I just didn't know what he was talking about. 3, he started to claim that he did a good job on the jabs. He started acting like, oh, this was the plan all the time. I'm so happy and so grateful for these vaccines. And it's just okay, that's weird, because in phase 1 of this whole thing, you wasn't even worried about the jab. You didn't even want it to be mandated, which I still was riding with him with. And he still says that to this day, that he's against mandates, but he's for anyone that wants to get the jab to get the jab. So it's very important to clarify the two. It's that he wasn't against the vaccine in the first place. He was against the mandates and still to this day, he's against the mandates. So, yeah. And then here's the 4th one. He went from low-key promoting the jab and getting it himself. And that's the part that really kind of bothers me, because it's you didn't want the mandate at the first place, which I have no problem with. But it's you went from not promoting it to thinking that everybody should have the chance to get it if they want to, or not get it if they don't want to, and then going to low-key promoting the jab, because he knows what he's doing. He knows his influence holds power. I mean, anytime you can tell, 100,000 dusty white people from the mountains to come down to Capitol Hill and stand by, he knows what he's doing. It's just these people that ride for him until the wheels fall off don't understand what he's doing, and they think that they're for him, when really low key, he's just an opportunist. But let's get back to the main point of what I'm saying. The 4 stages of Trump going into pro-vax. And I already said all of them, so I'm just going to read some excerpts that I had lined up. This was the first phase right here. Trump embraces face masks, but rejects national mandate. Like I said, he was always against any type of mandate around this, but slowly but surely, you could see him going into the space of, yeah, get this, do that, just based off of him doing the things after he told everybody else that he's not for it, you know. And remember, this is just about the mask mandate, but it still ties into the vax mandate as well, because it took him the longest to wear a mask. Remember, he didn't even wear a mask for a really, really, really long time. And then before you knew it, we seen him walking around with the mask the mask, and, you know, slightly kind of promoting the jab as well. So this excerpt is from voanews.com. President Trump says he is in favor of American wearing face masks to help curb the surging coronavirus pandemic, but says he will not impose a national mandate. I'm a believer in masks, Trump said in an interview at the White House, first aired on the Fox News Sunday TV show. I think masks are good, but Trump, who wore a mask in public for the first time only a week ago, told newsman Chris Wallace in the interview conducted Friday, I don't agree with the statement that if everybody wears a mask, everything disappears, even as several of the 50 U.S. state governors and big city mayors have imposed mask-wearing mandates in the face of fast-rising coronavirus case loads. Trump says he believes mask-wearing should be voluntary. I want people to have a certain freedom, and I don't believe in making it a legal requirement, Trump says in his first Sunday talk show interview in more than a year. Yeah, so like I said, he was against it. He made, the line in the sand that, hey, I'm kind of, trying to conform into seeing it from the other person's perspective, but I'm still against the mandates. That was the first stage of it. And then we get down to this article, which ties into the second phase, which was Operation Warp Speed. Remember, it was 4 phases of him getting into this pro-vax type of idea that he has. And this is the second phase of it. And this is from TrumpWhiteHouse.archive.gov. And this is remarks by President Trump at the Operation Warp Speed Vaccine Summit. And I'm not going to read all of this. I'm just going to read the excerpt that I highlighted myself. And here we go. It says, we're very hopeful that the FDA will authorize the Pfizer vaccine within days. We got to get it moving. And Moderna vaccine almost immediately thereafter. Large numbers of tests and samples have been done. So hopefully that'll go very quickly. If authorized, tens of millions of vaccine doses will be available this month, and we'll get it distributed very quickly. We have that all set, and hundreds of millions more will quickly follow. Every American who wants the vaccine will be able to get the vaccine, and we think by spring we're going to be in position that nobody would have believed possible just a few months ago. Yeah, amazing, really amazing. They say it's somewhat of a miracle, and I think that's true. The plan we put forward prioritize the elderly and patients with underlying conditions, as well as healthcare workers and first responders. So yeah, this is the second phase of him basically saying, okay, I'm going to push this thing forward, and my team's on it, and thank Dr. Fauci and all of that other stuff, when in the beginning, him and Fauci was going back and forth about this thing for the longest. And then we get into the third phase. This is basically him taking credit for the vaccine success and, reminding everyone of it. And this is by the Daily Mail, MSN News. So here's Donald Trump claiming that, hey, even though I don't want the mandates, and even though I don't think that everyone should take it or anything like that, I'm still going to, claim the success of this because this happened under my presidency. So Donald Trump has found himself being praised for his part in the rollout of the coronavirus vaccine from an unexpected quarter. Before then, characteristically doubled down and hailing his own contribution as Joe Biden reveals in a rapid pace of the rollout that is set to deliver its 100 million dose in the coming days. Even the New York Times said the former president's administration needs to take some of the credit. Trump, though not to be outdone, released a statement in which he claims that without him, people may not be getting protection from the virus at all. Issuing the statement under the letterhead of the office of Donald J. Trump, he said, I hope everyone remembers when they're getting the COVID-19 vaccine that if I wasn't president, you wouldn't be getting that beautiful shot for 5 years at best and probably wouldn't be getting it at all. See, that's the problem that I have with this whole thing, because that's one of the reasons that everybody is kind of scared to get it in the first place, is because it hasn't had the amount of testing that other vaccines has had. It doesn't have the data that other vaccines have. And just like my meme that I posted the other day, if I got 3 polio shots within a year and still got polio, I would be asking questions. You know, people are still getting this virus, even with the vaccine. So if I was Trump, I would slow down on congratulating and patting your ass on pushing out a vaccine that now is essentially not even working, because people are still spreading it with the vaccine. People are still dying with the vaccine, and people are still catching it with the vaccine. So it didn't really help as much as he would like to admit or think that it helped. I mean, I don't know. It's just weird to take credit for something that essentially didn't work. But you don't hear, these black conservatives talking about that. Candace Owens, which I'm about to read hers next, she got pretty mad at him. Alex Jones have threatened to put him on blast with some information that he got from him. I'd really like to see what that's about. I haven't went to his website in a while, but might go just to see what's the 411 on that. But yeah, there's that right there. And so now the fourth stage, and this fourth stage is basically Trump just going all out and saying, I made it, I'm good, and I got the vaccine, and everybody else should go and get it too. I'm still against the mandates, but everybody should go out and go get it. Kind of make you wonder, why did you have that change of mind? But that's coming up next. So this article is coming from bostonglobe.com. And the title of it is Trump support booster shots and criticizes politicians who won't state their vaccine status. Yeah, I'm not going to read all that. I already have mine that got my point highlighted for what I'm trying to say here. And yeah, he did go as far as to say that politicians that don't have the vaccine or have the vaccine aren't being truthful about if they have it or not, are gutless and scary. And most people think that like little jab went to DeSantis, which he clearly said it's pretty much nobody's business if I got it or not. Anyways, well, in an interview with a conservative commentator, Candace Owens, Trump stressed how well the vaccine worked at preventing hospitalizations and serious illnesses, which it doesn't, and I just gave my whole spiel about that, but whatever. The ones that get very sick and go to the hospital are the ones that don't take the vaccine, he told her. People aren't dying when they take their vaccine. Owens, a longtime Trump supporter, later sought to undermine Trump's support of the vaccines in the interview by pointing to his age, 75. But in the OAN interview, Trump did not relent. The fact is that I think the vaccine have saved tens of millions of people throughout the world. I have had absolutely no side effects, he said. Still, he repeated his opinion that young people for whom serious complications for the virus are rare should not be vaccinated, even though health officials have urged everyone who is eligible to get the shot. So, as you can see, you see the 4 phases that I said that he went through. He went through. It's crazy, but yeah, he definitely went through all 4 stages, which what I said was he went through, okay, I don't support the mask mandates or the vaccine mandates, but I'm going to put on a mask. So it's pretty much kind of like that weird state of don't do as I say, do as I do type of thing. I guess. I think I'm saying that wrong, but he said one thing, but we see his actions are straying towards something different. You're against it, but here you are doing it. You say that, this is ridiculous and this is against, American rules or whatever. And then here you go doing it again, in every instance. And the phases that I said was that he was against the mandates. He wore the mask and he got the jab. Then turn around and Operation Warp Speed. Okay, if you're against the mandates, why are you speeding up the process of getting the vaccine? I mean, I know that he's against it, but it's like, don't you think that it's more harmful to speed up the process of this vaccine? Just because you speed something up doesn't make it safe, So there's Operation Warp Speed. And then he got into this weird stage of, hey, I did a great job on the vaccine. My team. That's not your team. That's the CDC team that still works for Dr. Fauci and still goes off the guidelines of the CDC, which we know the CDC isn't a great company to go off of things for. Some things they say, yeah, it's good, but this is the same website that said zombies was a thing. So yeah, I don't know about the CDC. And then he got into the last and final 4th stage, which was, I got it. You should get it too if you're eligible. But guess what? I'm still against the mandates, which is kind of weird. I don't know. But hey, I support anybody that goes and go get it if you want it, but just don't go out and go get it just because some weird old guy said that he got it and now it's safe because his team was on it. It's weird. But back to my point of this whole breakdown is that what changed his mind? What changed Trump's mind to go from not even wanting the mandate, not even wearing a mask, not even when he himself got sick, not going to go take the jab immediately. He didn't go take the jab. He did some hydrochloroquine or some stuff like that he ended up taking. He said, oh, it's great. And now just all of a sudden you got the vaccine. Weird. I think that he has invested interest in it. And the reason I think that he has invested interest in it is because of this little excerpt right here that I got right here. Trump stock portfolio, big oil, big banks, and more foreign connections. And this is Forbes.com that I got this article from. Okay, so ironically, the president-elect holds stake in companies that he hammered on the hardest, while Trump repeatedly singled out Ford Motors for outsourcing American manufacturing jobs. As of the filing in May, he still owns shares worth up to $1 million in the Detroit auto giant. Google, which Trump accused of suppressing negative Hillary Clinton news, is in his portfolio, as is Berkshire Hathaway, run by one of his fiercest critics, Warren Buffett. Though he tried to start a boycott against Apple in February after the iPhone makers refused to help the Federal Bureau of Investigations break into one of San Bernardino shooter's phone, Trump held on to his shares in the tech company, which were worth as much as $2 million in May. So that's once again Trump being Trump. Remember how he said, I'm against the mandates, but he wearing the mask? He's against all these companies, but he has stock and money invested into them. But here's the last little part right here. Despite campaigning on the pledge of taking on big businesses, Trump owns shares in big pharma company, including Pfizer, Merck, Celgene, and GlaxoSmithKline, retailer Walmart, and consumer good firms Procter & Gamble and Johnson & Johnson. What did Johnson & Johnson just make 2 years ago? The vaccine. So it kind of makes sense why he would now, since he's out of office, start pushing this pro-vaccine, rhetoric that he's been going around saying. And he also holds stock in various of multinational oil companies like Shell, Chevron, and ExxonMobil. So, like I said, once again, saying one thing, doing the other. And he's a very intelligent guy, because most people at best is going to go read what he did. Most people ain't going to be watching what he actually did, which is says one thing, does another. And he's not the only one that has, stock and money into these vaccine and pandemic type of situations. Everybody is benefiting from these COVID-19 vaccine treatments and stuff like this. Here we go right here. Another, excerpt or article that I had read, but I'm only going to give y'all a little piece of it and y'all could go look it up yourselves. As the pandemic raged, at least 75 lawmakers bought and sold stock in companies that make COVID-19 vaccine treatments and tests. This is from businessinsider.com. So dozens of Republican and Democratic lawmakers on Capitol Hill have invested in companies that have a direct stock in the nation's response to the COVID-19 pandemic, according to the insider analysts of federal financial records. See, it's not just Democrats that want to shut down the whole world and make everybody take the vaccine. It's other people that have invested interest in this that are on the Republican side as well. That's why I don't follow politics and I don't mess with politics, because it's two sides of the same coin and you're gonna get screwed either way. But let's get on with the article that I have highlighted. In 2020, at least 13 senators and 35 U.S. representatives held shares of Johnson & Johnson, the medical behemoth that produced the single-shot COVID-19 vaccine that more than 15 million Americans have received. At least 11 senates and 34 representatives also held shares in 2020 of another COVID-19 vaccine manufacturer, Pfizer. 2 representatives or their spouses held share of Moderna during the same year that the world went on lockdown in response to the pandemic. So let me just call out some of these representatives that y'all think don't have invested interest just because they're Republican or just because they're Democrat. It's both of them. It's both of these parties trying to make y'all take it. Because do y'all remember that article a little while ago where they was trying to make people that worked for the government in the state take it, but then you go and you asked, who did they ask? I think they asked Kamala Harris, well, are y'all going to be taking the vaccine because y'all work in state and y'all work in government? And she just turned down his question. She just didn't even answer it. And then later on we found out that they're not going to be like held to the same standard as regular people just because they're like senators and representatives and they're like Congress women and men. Yeah. So here we go. Her name is Marie Newman. She's the investor in vaccines, included freshman Representative Mary Newman, a Democrat of Illinois whose husband, Jim Newton, has traded shares of both Johnson & Johnson and Moderna. That's one of them. Here we go. Representative Josh Gottheimer, whatever. That's going to be your name today. A Democrat of New Jersey was the only other lawmaker who held Moderna stock in May 2020. He sold up to $15,000 worth of his shares. So there's another one right there. Here we go. Here we go. Even some Republican lawmakers who vocally oppose COVID-19 vaccine mandates also invested in the vaccine manufacturers. Vivian Scott, the wife of the Representative Austin Scott, a representative of Georgia, traded up to $50,000 worth of Johnson & Johnson stock in 2 occasions this year. Here we go. Here goes some more people. Here goes some more people right here, bro. Up. Ain't this y'all girl? Ain't this y'all girl right here? Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, a Republican from Georgia, who has decried. I don't know why they said decried. I think they meant to say declared. Vaccine Nazis who boasted about not getting vaccinated after COVID-19 reported owning stock in COVID-19 vaccine making during 2020, including Pfizer, Johnson & Johnson. So yeah, it's not just Democrats that want this done. It's Republicans too that has invested interest as well. So just, I know it's a lot to take in, but now that we have this information on Trump as well as other representatives and congressmen and senators in office, isn't it safe to say if you're a conservative or if you're a Republican or if you're just a Trump supporter that you got duped, you got bamboozled, you got taken advantage of? Because Trump is literally now pushing a product that he has invested interest in. And we know that this isn't his first time doing this, because do y'all remember the Spravato thing where they invested a lot of money into his campaign and then all of a sudden he started pushing Spravato, which is a antidepressant that was pushed out to veterans that were in war, and a whole bunch of other stuff that had happened with Spravato as well that isn't good. But he continuously pushed it. Why? Because those people funded his campaign. So why not? So it's not that he wanted to literally help veterans. It was that these people had pushed all this money into his campaign. He has invested interest. That's the bottom line. I'm not going to try to sugarcoat or anything because I see myself trying to do that a little bit. But yeah, he has stock in Johnson & Johnson, Pfizer, all these companies that he said was bad when he was running for presidency. But if they were so bad, why you didn't take none of that money out? Why did you keep money in those stocks that you say is bad? So yeah, he has invested interest in those companies that he said was bad when it was his presidency. He has invested interest in people getting the vaccine now. He has invested interest in, Spravato, not only him, but other people. So with all this information, can we, or y'all, because I backed out at the second phase of him being pro-vax, can Black conservatives go ahead and say that y'all got duped? Y'all love to bring up people's background, people's records. Y'all did it with Kamala Harris, with how she handled a lot of Black people in the justice system when she was, at the bottom and just political, like I think a lawyer or something. Y'all brought up a lot of that from her background. Y'all bring up Joe Biden and his crime bill and why Black people shouldn't support him because of that crime bill. Why? Because those are his priors. Now, is it safe to say that now that I've brought up Trump priors about how he literally pushed things that he himself have invested interest in, can we bring up that point? Can we say that it's fair to look around the whole table and say Kamala Harris, she did that and she was wrong for that? Joe Biden, he did this and he was wrong for that. And Trump did this and he was wrong about it. Can we do that? No, I don't hear any Black conservatives except for Candace Owens. She went out there on a limb and she spoke her little piece, and I'm happy for her. I've never had a problem with Candace Owens except for the same thing that I have against Joe Patrick, is that she's also biased and she's a Black conservative. But she's basically, her and Alex Jones is the only two people that didn't said anything about Trump backsliding on the vaccines. But nobody else ain't saying nothing. It's quiet as crickets over there on the conservative side. But, like I said, Trump is an opportunist. He never cared about anything that the dusty whites wanted or was pushing. He don't see black and white. That nigga see money. And if you don't even making no money, then he don't really care what y'all doing. But the more interesting thing about this whole thing is that he kind of put people that hated him but got the vaccine early on in a weird position, because they almost have to kind of thank him, because Operation Warp Speed was done underneath this presidency. And yeah, you kind of wouldn't have the vaccine for at least 5 to 10 years if it wasn't for him pushing Operation Warp Speed. But the people that are in an even weirder position are the people that didn't get the vaccine because he didn't get the vaccine and he wasn't wearing the mask, and he didn't even get the vaccine once he had COVID and gotten over it. And now he has the vaccine and he's pro-vax. And now at some point, both sides of the Trump hater club, but I got the vaccine, and we love Trump, but we didn't get the vaccine because he didn't get the vaccine and he didn't care about the mandate, and now he's pushing the vaccine. Both parties have to eat crow pie. And that's the weird thing. That's how like, he's just an opportunist, because both sides either benefited or didn't benefit from it. But yeah, it's really fucking weird, and don't be that white person. Stop it. Don't be that white person that's like, well, I don't care about Trump getting the vaccine because, he was just against the mandates. Cut it out, because y'all booed that man when he went to Bill O'Reilly's show. Y'all booed him when he said, I got the vaccine. Y'all all said, boo, if it was about the mandates and solely just about the mandates, y'all wouldn't have booed that man. So don't be that white person that's trying to get away from this contradictory smoke that y'all had. But let's go ahead and get on with it. Trump changed his mind. I'm not changing my mind. I'm still pro-liberty. I think it still should be a choice whether you want to get it or not. And I'm not going to go get it. I'm not sick. So why do I have to get a vaccine? It's this weird thing that Americans do, that we always find a way to try to fix something that ain't broke. You try to fix something that's not broke. If you're not sick, don't take the vaccine unless you absolutely want to. But if you're thinking that getting the vaccine is going to be a way around not getting sick, then you're in for a rude awakening, because that's not what that's for. That's not what vaccines are supposed to be used for. That's like taking birth control and expecting not to get an STD. No. That just prevents you from not having a baby. You're still susceptible to getting an STD. Just like if you get the vaccine, you're still susceptible to getting the virus. It's just supposed to help you. At this point, I don't know what it's supposed to help you for, because like I said in the beginning, you're still catching it, you're still spreading it, and you're still dying whether you get the vaccine or not. But hey, that's neither here nor there. I don't want to speak so much about that vaccine stuff, because they will kick my, pay this episode down if I go too deep into it. But let's go ahead and get into this recent Jason Walker and this white supremacy in law enforcement, that the FBI went over. FBI. Anyways, here we go. Here's the story right here. And this is CNN.com that went through this story. And it's a North Carolina judge rules police body camera video in the Jason Walker shooting case to be released. Recently, a 37-year-old black man was shot and killed by Cumberland County Sheriff Deputy Lieutenant Jeffrey Hash, who told authorities he had jumped on his vehicle. Now, I'm not going to read this whole thing because y'all can do that yourselves, and y'all already know I don't be reading good. But this is the preliminary investigation. I'm going to read this whole thing for y'all. But like I said, please go do your own research. Me search is way better than research. Or I think the other way around. Research is way better than me search. So basically, get out of your feelings, get into logic. But according to the police, a preliminary investigation showed Walker run into traffic and jump on the moving vehicle that the sheriff deputy was driving. That's in quotation, so that is not actually what happened. This is just what the sheriff deputy is saying that was driving this pickup truck. The driver of the vehicle shot Walker and notified the 911, according to the statement. So that was all a statement Saturday by the Fayetteville police. I had a male jump on my vehicle and break my windshield. I shot him. He jumped on my vehicle. I just had to shoot him, Hash told the dispatcher in a nearly 4-minute 911 call. I stopped so I wouldn't hit him, and he jumped on my car and started screaming, pulled my windshield wiper off, and started beating my windshield and broke my windshield. I had my wife and my daughter in my vehicle, Hash added. On Saturday evening, a bystander posted a video that began moments after Walker had been shot. It showed a man standing near the driver's side of a red pickup truck while making a call on a cell phone. A person appeared to be lifeless, bleeding on the ground beside him, and at least 2 people appeared to be trying to offer aid to the person on the ground. Uninformed police officers arrived approximately 45 seconds after the video starts. On Sunday, Chief Hawkins said an analysis of the vehicle's so-called black box showed that the vehicle did not impact anything or anyone, and a windshield wiper had been torn off and used to break the windshield in several places. It's important to share some of the confirmed facts of this case with the public to ensure transparency as the investigation proceeds, she said, and added that the weapon used by Hash was not his service weapon. I don't understand why that has anything to do with anything, but let's go ahead and get down to what I feel about this. First of all, the story sounds made up from the get-go, because who jumps on a car out of nowhere and just starts beating in the windshield? Okay, secondly, do you know how hard it is to break a windshield and try and break it with a windshield wiper? Like, windshield wipers are mad flimsy. You're not going to beat the windshield of a car with a windshield wiper. It's not going to be done. That shit is just too thick. So I just don't understand where that came from. I don't understand how some random black dude just jump on your car out of all the cars that's been driving around. You just pick your car, any, mini, money, mo. Let's jump on this red car. Let's go. I don't know. I don't understand why this sounds like a credible story. And the police that got there was like, okay. And then just put it out into the news. Thirdly, if you were scared and you was that scared that you felt like you just had to shoot him, that's what Hash said, y'all. Not me. I just had to shoot him. I just had to. If you was that freaking scared, you was already in the car. I know if someone jumps on my car and I'm already in the car and I'm already driving, then I'm just going to drive away. I'm just going to drive away. I'm not going to discharge my gun. Why? I'm already safe. He has to get through this door, this glass windshield, all that to get to me. Why would I shoot through the windshield at him or roll my window down, making it more susceptible for me to get caught or me to get harmed by this random person that jumped on my car? Why wouldn't I just drive away? You was already in the car. Why didn't you just drive away? And then do your whole policey thing and call and say, hey, it's some crazy man jumping on people's cars over here off of so-and-so and so-and-so street. Why wouldn't you do that instead? This is the weird thing about these SWSs, these suspected white supremacists, is that they will much rather shoot than to just get away. I thought that was part of like gun training, that if you can get out of the situation, before shooting somebody, do that first. Isn't that the whole premise of why Kyle Rittenhouse got off the way that he did? Because he ran away? Yeah. So it's just weird how law just keeps contradicting itself. But it's a reason why it keeps contradicting itself. And I'm not surprised about this whole thing at all. Why am I not surprised? Because what did Micheal German tell us? What did he tell us? What did Micheal German tell us, which is a former FBI agent, tell us about law enforcement? This is what he said, y'all. And I'm, once again, not going to read this whole thing because it's a lot. And I just feel like y'all could go read this yourselves. But this article is from The Guardian. White supremacists and militias have infiltrated police after U.S. report says a former FBI agent has documented leaks between servicing officers and racist militias activities in more than a dozen states. So, like I said, I ain't reading that whole thing. I already got my little piece that I'm going to read to y'all. But there's a growing awareness in some parts of the government about the intensifying threat of white supremacy. The FBI and the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, have directly identified white supremacists as the most lethal domestic terrorist threat in the country. According to German's report, the FBI's own internal documents have directly warned that the militia groups the agency is investigating often have active links to law enforcement. If y'all don't know what that means that mostly all the time, these lieutenants and these sheriffs and these weird crimes like Jason Walker, where somebody just randomly jump on your car and you shoot them, they get away with that type of stuff. Why? Because white supremacists look out for white supremacists. We all thinking that, it's just cops looking out for cops. No, this is white supremacists looking out for white supremacists. So let's just all throw the whole theory that white supremacy doesn't live within law enforcement in the judicial system. Let's put that to rest, because this is not only a white man, but this is an FBI agent that's formal. He used to work in the FBI. So he's seen all the fouls. He's seen all the everything that he needs to see to let you know that white supremacy is alive and well in law enforcement and the judicial system. So I don't want to hear any more cap about, they should have just followed the law. They should have just complied. No, this is an FBI agent telling you, not some black person or some Democrat, because those are the people that y'all just tend to not believe instead of just doing your research on it. Now, this is a person that has basically infiltrated himself as an FBI agent into KKK clubs and police enforcement to write this story and come up with the things that he's seen. Let's get on with the rest of the article. And yet, U.S. agencies lack a national strategy to identify white supremacists, police, and root out this problem. German warned, meanwhile, popular police reform efforts to address implicit bias have done nothing to confront explicit racism. The FBI did not immediately respond to the request for the command. So not only do they know about it, but they not doing nothing about it either. Mainly probably because white supremacy have infiltrated the FBI as well, probably. That's why they don't care about it, and that's why they haven't done anything about it. So when I start to go back on cases of the Ahmaud Arbery, where the McMichael, I think his name was Daniel McMichaels. He was what? A formal police officer, a formal sheriff. But, they got what they deserved. But how long did it take them to get this to the public? How long did it take them to get this to the public? Took them a pretty long damn time. It was the black grassroots that brought it up, to fruition for everybody to see what this little county was doing. And then when I think about, the Ahmaud Arbery, I already said that, of the Ahmaud Arbery case, but even within that case, the outskirts of that, the Daniel McMichael's daughter sending around a snuff film of Ahmaud Arbery getting shot and killed. And then it brings me back to George Floyd, where a man can literally abuse his power on camera, and it takes the judicial system, to give them, a pretty fair trial, but take so long to figure out what everybody around the whole wide world seen on camera. That don't make no sense. So I'm not surprised when things with ex-sheriff and police enforcement and the judicial system and lawyers and judges. I'm not surprised when they do unfair things in the system. I'm not surprised. And let's not even begin to say the countless amount of unarmed black people getting shot by, officers that were scared for their lives. It's like, oh my God, if you scared with a gun and you see, if somebody's running away, 9 times out of 10, they don't have anything to arm themselves. They're running away from you because you're armed and you might shoot them, or they just simply don't want to get caught. Neither here nor there. But if you scared, go to church. If you scared, go get a desk job. Don't be out in the field and then you shoot somebody and then you want to avoid the consequences of shooting somebody, and you just paint it off as, I was scared for my life. It's time to put that aside, and to the white people that think this justice system is fair and just, it's not. And you're just a pawn in this game, and they will sacrifice you as well to try and save themselves. If you don't think so, listen to this. It's been a long time since we did the Kyle Rittenhouse thing, but listen to this right here. Where we at? This is PBS News. So, man who bought gun for Kenosha shooter Kyle Rittenhouse avoids prison with plea deal. Up. Let's see. This ain't that long, so I might read a little bit of it. So, the man who bought an AR-15 style rifle for Kyle Rittenhouse pleaded no contents Monday to a reduced charge of contributing to the delinquency of a minor in a deal with prosecutors that allow him to avoid prison. But we gonna get there. Hold up. Let me read a little bit more. Let me just read a little bit more. Contributing to the delinquency of a minor is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 9 months in jail. But Benger reduced the charge to a non-criminal county ordinance violation. Under the deal, Black will pay a $2,000 fine. Each felony count would have been punishable by up to 6 years in prison and a $10,000 fine. Rittenhouse used the rifle to shoot 3 people, killing 2 during a tumultuous, I don't know what that is, night of protest in Kenosha in 2020 over the shooting of a black man, Jacob Blake, by a white police officer. A jury acquitted Rittenhouse of homicide and other charges in November. So let's make it make sense. So tell me, how did Cal get out of his charges of being a minor carrying a gun, but according to the law, he was well within his rights because of the law in Kenosha or whatever. But Dominique Black is facing charges for providing a minor with a gun. Make it make sense, because it can't be both. You can't say that, oh, we're letting Cal off of all the charges because of the law, but he was a minor and he got off all charges, but then the person that provided him the gun is facing charges and had to plead out. It can't be both. Usually the shooter and the person that provided the gun gets jail time. So this is a clear contradiction of law right in our face, and it's further pushing the divide between white people and black people, because white people, when they get this type of win, they feel like, oh, well, the law is just. The law is fair. And black people need to just get over it. And those are the dusty white tier 1 people that I be talking about. It's not all white people that is just, unbearable to be around and just ignorant of history, the law, justice, all that stuff, reparations. It's not just them. It's not them. It's just the dusty tier 1, dusty tier 2, and dusty tier 3. Those are the white people that I be talking about. So, like I said in the beginning, let's stop the cap. White supremacy have infiltrated almost everything that matters in life. And we need to wake up and we need to start speaking out about it. And it's not complaining. I wish white people would stop saying that. It's not us complaining. It's us calling it out. And we're interrupting y'all white supremacy tactics. That's what it is. But I'm going to go ahead and get up out of here. I've been going for 1 hour and 5. I got to go ahead and clip and cut this, edit it, make sure that I get it out to y'all. I'm once again very sorry to the streaming audio only platforms, which is Google Play, Anchor, Apple Play, and I think Spotify. Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to get all of those lives that I did uploaded. I'm going to have some upcoming interviews with a couple of special people, especially about politics. I've been thinking myself about getting into local politics, not running for anything, but just trying to understand how local politics affect national politics, because I truly do not understand that shit. But, yes, you can go and follow me on An Hour with Crowder on Facebook, An Hour with Crowder on Instagram, and Crowder the Great on Twitter. I might get into some Twitter spaces sometime soon. And you can go and listen to these episodes on my streaming platforms, which is Anchor, Apple Play, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, and yeah, that's it. I think a couple of other ones, Breaker Box or something like that. But yeah, bye.